Have you ever looked in the mirror and quietly wondered to yourself, why is my butt getting flatter even though I stay active? If that question sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Many adults, especially after the age of 50, begin to notice subtle but frustrating changes in their body shape. Clothes start to fit differently, jeans don't sit the way they used to, and the backside that once felt lifted and full may begin to look flatter, especially along the sides or upper area. Some people describe it as sagging, others call it hip dips, and some simply feel like their shape has lost its strength or definition. Most people immediately assume that this is just a natural part of aging and that nothing can really be done about it. Others believe the solution is simple. Just do more squats, more glute exercises, or work harder in the gym. But what if I told you that there is a critical piece of the puzzle that almost no one talks about, and without it, even the best exercises may not give you the results you're hoping for? The truth is, you cannot rebuild strong, full glutes if your pelvis is out of position. This is something many people overlook because pelvic alignment is rarely discussed in mainstream fitness advice. Your pelvis acts like the foundation of your lower body. It connects your spine to your hips, influences how your legs move, and plays a major role in how your muscles activate. When your pelvis is aligned properly, your muscles work efficiently and your glutes can activate and strengthen naturally. But when alignment shifts, even slightly, it changes the way your nervous system communicates with your muscles. Suddenly, the glutes don't activate the way they should, and other muscles begin to compensate. As we age, several factors contribute to these changes. We tend to sit more frequently, whether at work, while watching television, or during travel. Sitting tightens the hip flexors and weakens the glutes over time. Posture patterns become habitual, and without realizing it, the pelvis may begin to tilt forward, shift to one side, or rotate slightly. These changes are often subtle and painless, which is why many people don't notice them. However, the body notices. The nervous system adapts, and instead of using the glutes as the primary movers, it begins relying more heavily on the lower back, thighs, or hip flexors. This creates compensation patterns that make the glutes underused and eventually underdeveloped. That's why so many people say they walk every day, do glute bridges, or even strength train consistently but still feel like they're but looks flat. The problem isn't always a lack of effort. It's often a lack of proper activation. Muscles can only strengthen effectively when they are positioned well and receiving the right signals from the brain. If the pelvis is misaligned, the brain may struggle to recruit the glutes properly, which means you can exercise regularly and still reinforce the wrong movement patterns. Scientific research supports this idea. Studies in movement science and rehabilitation have shown that joint alignment significantly influences muscle recruitment patterns. When the pelvis tilts too far forward or shifts laterally, glute activation decreases. The nervous system takes shortcuts, choosing easier pathways even if they're not ideal. This means that instead of strengthening the muscles you want, you may unintentionally train compensations that reinforce poor posture and imbalance. This becomes even more important after age 50 because the body adapts differently than it did in younger years. Recovery may take longer, muscle signals become less efficient, and balance and coordination require more intentional training. Hormonal changes can also affect muscle tone and fat distribution, particularly in women after menopause. Over time, these factors combine to create glutes that feel disconnected from movement. People often describe it as feeling like their muscles just won't turn on the way they used to. The encouraging news is that this process is not permanent. The body is incredibly adaptable at any age. With the right approach, you can retrain the nervous system, restore muscle activation, and rebuild strength. And it doesn't require complicated equipment or intense workouts. It begins with simple, intentional movements designed to restore alignment and reconnect your body's natural movement patterns. The first movement is not about strength or intensity. It's about retraining communication between your brain and your glutes. Imagine standing about 6 to 8 inches away from a wall, facing away from it. Your feet are shoulder-width apart, knees slightly soft, and your spine stays long and relaxed. Slowly push your hips back until your glutes gently touch the wall. This position encourages a proper hip hinge, which is one of the most important patterns for glute activation. Once you're in this position, begin shifting your hips slightly from side to side. When you shift to the left, you may feel the right glute begin to engage. When you shift to the right, you may notice the left glute activating. The movement is small and controlled, almost like gently rocking your pelvis. This exercise works because it helps your nervous system rediscover muscle pathways that may have been neglected. Instead of forcing activation through intensity, you guide your body back into alignment so activation happens naturally. Many people are surprised that such a small movement can create noticeable changes in how their hips feel. It helps recenter the pelvis, restore balance between the left and right sides, and wake up stabilizer muscles like the gluteus medius, deep hip rotators, and core muscles. These stabilizers play a huge role in shaping the sides of the hips and creating a more rounded appearance. Once your pelvis feels more centered and your glutes begin to respond, you're ready for a more dynamic movement that builds strength and shape. Imagine standing facing a wall, about 6 to 8 inches away. Your feet are slightly wider than hip width, toes angled outward slightly, and your hands rest lightly on the wall for support. Slowly lower into a squat, keeping your chest lifted and your spine tall. The wall prevents you from leaning too far forward, which encourages better posture and helps load the glutes more effectively. When you reach the bottom of the squat, gently rise onto your toes into a calf raise. This adds a balance challenge and activates stabilizing muscles throughout the hips and legs. Hold briefly, lower your heels slowly, and then press through your feet to stand back up. This movement combines strength, balance, and coordination in a way that mirrors real-life movement patterns. Instead of isolating a single muscle, it trains the body to work as a connected system. Integrated movements like this become especially important after 50 because real-world strength comes from coordination between muscles rather than isolated effort. Research shows that exercises combining balance and strength improve stability and reduce fall risk in older adults while also improving muscle tone. The bigger picture here is that aging itself is not the main reason glutes lose shape. The real issue is adaptation. The body adapts to how we move every day. If posture shifts and movement patterns change, the muscles respond accordingly. Misalignment quietly alters activation patterns, and over time, strength and shape fade. But when alignment is restored and muscle signals are reconnected, everything begins to change. Movements feel smoother, posture improves, and strength becomes more accessible. Many people notice that their stance feels more stable and their backside begins to regain fullness and life again. It's also important to remember that stronger glutes are not just about appearance. They support walking stability, protect the lower back, improve hip mobility, and help maintain independence in daily life. Strong glutes make it easier to climb stairs, stand up from chairs, carry groceries, and maintain balance when unexpected movements occur. They help you trust your body again. Aging does not mean decline. It means adaptation. When you understand how your body works, you can train smarter rather than harder. You don't need complicated equipment or intense workouts to see meaningful changes. You need intentional movement, patience, and consistency. If you felt frustrated with a flat or sagging but despite your efforts, consider this a reminder that you may simply have been missing the foundational step. Start by restoring alignment, reconnecting your pelvis, and building strength from a stable foundation. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these movements sounds most interesting to try? Have you ever noticed a difference after improving posture or alignment? Share your experience and join a growing community of people choosing strength, balance, and better movement one small step at a time.